Welcome to another edition of the Boston Sports Brew. The Bruins break hearts, or at least mine, after losing 3 straight to miss the playoffs. They then fired general manager Peter Chiarelli. Good move? And who's next to go? And while the Bees disappointed, the Celtics continue to surprise. But do they stand any chance against the Cavs in round 1 of the playoffs? And after a little over a week into the baseball season, the Red Sox bats are booming while the pitching is struggling. Is this formula enough to keep the Sox atop the AL East? We'll let you know on this edition of the Boston Sports Brew. Mattious, this is just, last week was sadness for me. Complete sadness.
Why is that, Droz?
I had all the hope in the world that the Bruins would win. Not only did I think that they were going to get into the playoffs,
but you
I
thought
they
were
going
to win the
all
Stanley Cup, right?
Or at least 2 of the games, and I said, lose 1 in overtime. I did think they were going to win the Stanley Cup, or I had beliefs that they could do a very good job once they got to the playoffs. And I definitely thought they were getting into the playoffs. And, I mean, Holtby shut them down in that first game on Wednesday. That was the bad sign. I thought Florida they would lose because of having to do the back-to-back with Tuukka Rask, and that ended up happening. Rask was in there. He gives up 4 goals in regulation. And then the final game, I mean, they were out of it. Pittsburgh had to lose, and Pittsburgh was playing the Sabres. So they were up, they scored 2 goals. They won 2-0, and the Bruins, amazingly, even after hearing that news, still scored a goal to tie it up with Tampa and then play into a shootout. But, I mean, that's all for naught at that point. It was bad because when I went to bed, even on Friday night after the Penguins lost to the Islanders, that meant that if Ottawa won and the Bruins won, or Ottawa lost and the Bruins won, the Bruins would have made the playoffs. And if the Bruins won and Pittsburgh lost, they would go to the playoffs. And Ottawa I didn't think was going to lose just because of the way they've been playing, and they were playing the Flyers. But when I woke up, I saw the Pittsburgh game. I knew it was the Sabres, but the Sabres had just clinched the worst record in the NHL to get Connor McDavid in the upcoming draft. So I thought they would actually play better, and I thought Pittsburgh had a chance to lose. And I thought they were cocky, and, Brandon Sutter scored twice, and that was it. The Bruins were done, and I give Brad Marchand a lot of credit for scoring that goal and tying it up at the end, even though they knew the season was over. And taking it into a shootout, but, heads got chopped, and the first one was Peter Chiarelli.
Yeah, Droz, I mean, if you look back at the beginning of the season, the season's a disappointment. It's a failure. You don't have a team that wins the President's Cup 1 year before come back and miss the playoffs. I mean, that's just unacceptable. Being a leader in any position, no matter what your job is difficult. When you're a leader, you have to perform. All right? No matter how well you do, no matter if you won a championship or not, lost in the finals like Chiarelli did, it doesn't matter because you are going to be based on what you do at that specific moment. And the moments just keep going on and on. And unfortunately for Chiarelli, I feel like the downward spiral with him began with the trade of Tyler Seguin. And since then, there's just been so many moves that have not worked out for the Bruins, and I just feel like it really started with Tyler Seguin. I mean, Chiarelli himself has had an up and down. He's had an up and down career with the Bruins. I mean, he came here in 2006. I remember in 2006, he had a hard time getting out of the salary, the position in Ottawa. They were being really pains in the butt when it came to Chiarelli getting out of his contract. So he didn't even come here. He actually started off after the draft. And in 2006, if people don't forget, that's a draft when there was an interim GM at that moment, and he drafted Phil Kessel, Milan Lucic, and Brad Marchand. Does any of those names sound familiar? Yeah, all 3 of them do. And he pulled off the trade of Raycroft for Tuukka Rask. So that intern GM at the time, Jeff Gordon, for all people who don't remember that, he was the guy who was around for guys that are now like the faces of the franchise. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Chiarelli came in here and dropped the big bang by signing Big Z and then getting Mark Savard, who unfortunately, I mean, we know his scenario with the concussion. So Chiarelli came in here and there was a lot of big moves made before him, and then he made some good moves too. But he drafted Zach Campbell. I mean, he hired Dave Lewis as his first coach. We all know how disastrous that was. I mean, the Bruins in 2013, they fired the director of amateur scouting, Wayne Smith, and then named one of Wayne Gretzky. I forgot. I don't know if it's like his nephew, but Keith Gretzky, to try to fix this. All right, and along the way, there's a lot of moves that you can look at that were positive, and there's a lot of moves that were negative. I mean, you got guys. After Lewis, he hired Claude, and Claude has been one of the most successful coaches as the Bruins in the entire Bruins history. And I'm a huge Claude advocate, but I don't know. Is he going to be on the chopping block next? It's going to be really hard for a new GM to come in here, and Neely said it today in the press conference that he's going to be the one that decides whether or not Claude stays. So after hearing that, he'll probably be out. And then, but I can go on and on. I mean, he had good signings and bad signings. The good ones, you got the Mark Recchi, Seidenberg, Ferentz, Thornton, Johnny Boychuk. You have, for the most part, guys that were there to help us win that cup, guys that were there, like Jaromir Jagr, almost guys that were there to help us win that second cup. But then you have the negative, and the negative was, like I said, the Sagan trade and getting guys back that weren't that great, in my opinion. And then last year, you signed people, and you can't afford Jerome McGinley and Johnny Boychuk, who Johnny Boychuk was one of the best Boston Bruins defenders, in not only outside the locker room, but inside the locker room too. So you won the President's Cup last year, but you got rid of your goal scorer on your first line in Jerome McGinley, who went out there this past year in Colorado and scored 29 goals. And you also got rid of a top four defenseman in Johnny Boychuk. So you got rid of pretty much two of your top 10 players. Two of your top. But
were they going to pay Boychuk 7 years, $42 million? That's what he got from the Islanders.
That's what I'm saying, Droz. Chiarelli went out there and he put these lucrative, long 8-year deals, and it was mind-boggling when he did it, and he really put this Bruins team in a tough situation going forward. Their salary cap strapped right now. They're going to have to get creative, okay, for any way, shape, and form to make a move. They already have $50 million in salary for 10 players going into next year, and overall drafting players, Chiarelli sucked. Okay, so yeah, after looking at his total regime, his total movement here with what happened, I mean, I still view it as a success. All right, this is the first year, and since he came here in his first year that they didn't make the playoffs,
they still had 96 points.
They did have 96 points, but they didn't make the playoffs, Droz. Once again, when you are a leader in any position, you take the blame. I do like, though, how players in recent days are coming out and saying that they suck because, yeah, they did suck. Like Tuukka Rask saying the other day, "Oh, I give us an F." Well, yeah, you should get an F. Okay, so many players in this team underperformed, but that's Chiarelli. Chiarelli's the guy who brought it in here, and all good things come to an end. It's just the way it is in sports, and I think it's the time for the change. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form disappointed. I'm actually happy that Neely made the move, and I personally feel like Claude is probably the next guy out.
Well, I think Claude's definitely out after this, but I don't like this move one bit. Before Chiarelli, 6 seasons without winning a playoff series. If you recall, it was all the way back to when, 98, 99, they beat the Buffalo Sabres in the first round. They made the playoffs a couple times before that. They do dominate, actually, in the regular season with Joe Thornton on the team. And they just lose in the first round. They lost the Canadiens twice in 01-02 in 6 games in the first round. Lost the Devils in the first round in 5 games. Lost to the Canadiens again in the year before the strike in 7 games. I mean, they just kept losing. They couldn't get past anywhere. Chiarelli comes in. I know you said the interim GM brings in all these players, mixed trade. Rask comes in, but still other bit players all around, kept Krejci around. And next thing you know, they've one season under 2 seasons actually. This obviously this last season. In 9 seasons, do they not make the playoffs? 2 seasons out of 9, do they not make the playoffs under Chiarelli? His record, or the team's record, while Peter Chiarelli was the general manager of the Boston Bruins, was 386, 253, and 85. I think he did a fantastic job. I think the Bruins were resurrected under Chiarelli and became one of the best teams in hockey over his time here.
I'm not denying that, Droz. You're right. He did do a good job as a GM. The problem is when you get good, okay, at whatever you're doing, expectations are raised. And Charlie Jacobs said it in the interview with Neely today. He said, "We're the Boston Bruins. My expectations, and when I said what I said in January that heads are going to fly, it's because, one, we were 9th and 10th in the conference, but two, I don't care about making the playoffs. That's not the expectations of the Bruins anymore. The expectations of the Bruins now are winning the Stanley Cup." So Chiarelli came here. He did a good job. He raised the expectations. So when expectations are raised, this is what happens. He
shoot himself in the foot? He basically shot himself in the foot. He raised the expectations. Now he's gone because of it, because everyone expects him to win the Stanley Cup every year.
Possibly.
They won the President's Trophy last season.
I'm not going to deny that, Droz, but he is the guy that's in charge. I'm not going to, and I can't say because I don't definitively know if he's the guy that is the last guy in line who signs off on all these deals. I mean, he's the GM. How much does Neely play into this? Is he the last guy who signs off? I mean, Neely's come out and said that he was involved in the Sagan trade. So look at the deals, though. I mean, there's just too many guys in this team that are getting overpaid. I feel like almost every guy on here is overpaid. And
let me just bring up one thing with Sagan.
Okay.
He just got disciplined by the Dallas Stars for God knows what. They did not say, but they disciplined him. He's been off the ice, whatever he's doing, disciplining Tyler Sagan. And ever since that injury that he occurred earlier, I don't know what, a month and a half back, he has done nothing for the Stars. So I just want to add that in there, because when Sagan was here, he was one of those streaky guys too. He'd score, all these goals, and then he'd stop. He'd score, he'd stop. He'd score, he'd stop. He's on for a month, he's off for a month. So, and in the final playoffs with the Bruins, he was horrible.
He sucked. I understand that. He got 1 point in like 22 games. And that was one of the main reasons. They were like, you know what? You had your chance to perform. I mean, you are young, but we're not dealing with all your headaches anymore. Well, fine. If they want to get rid of Sagan, fine. The deal coming back, I said it at the time. I wish we had the show because it would have been on tape, but I hated the deal. You trade a superstar and you just don't get guys back that I felt like were up to were up to as good as he is. And I mean, that's not going to happen in a trade. I know that, but it's just when you want to trade, you want to have some type of even keel when that happens. But looking at the guys they got back, and now looking at them on this team now, I just feel they don't fit. They really don't. And Chiarelli has this team in a mess. And whatever GM comes in here right now, they are really salary. They're killed by this cap, Droz. If you look to see not only with the cap, but guys with their no trade clauses and their no movement clauses, it's going to be really difficult for a guy to come in here and get a guy to waive those no movement or no trade clause.
I understand this, and I'm looking at the team right now and all the contracts, who's signed and who's up for free agency and all that. But first off, let me just say I wouldn't have fired Peter Chiarelli at all. I would have kept him, and I would have kept Claude Julien as well, because Claude is definitely gone. It's just a matter of time whenever this new general manager comes in place. They already said they will not name an interim GM. So whenever the new GM comes in place, which I think will be soon, Claude will probably be one of the first to go. But Claude, for his part, he said that he is not going on his own unless they kick him out of here. So Claude will stay until the new GM comes. So he's gone. But, all right, Tuukka Rask, $7 million a season. He's signed till 2021. I'm not getting rid of him. Bergeron, $6.5 million to 2022. Fine, keep him. Chara, $6.5 million to 2018. He's got his leg injury. He's 38. He's very tall. I get worried with tall people and leg injuries, but he's got good reach. He played through this leg injury this entire season. He said he wasn't 100% at all. Or knee injury. I don't know if I'd bring him back. He's a maybe. You could maybe sell him just because of his age and the fact that it's his knee. Go down the line. Krejci, I would say he's very solid. He makes the most money on the team. He makes $7.25 a year. I think that is the only reason why I would say maybe sell on Krejci, because he doesn't really put up superstar numbers, but he's very, very solid. A solid player, and I don't think you can go on this season too much just because he was beat up at the beginning and at the end. even when he came back from his partially torn MCL or whatever. I don't think he was the same guy. And then you go down, Louis Eriksson, I think he's great in front of the net with the puck. He's got a big body. I think he actually played well. I like him. Marchand, you never get rid of. I don't care. Marchand's like a Dustin Pedroia, heart and soul type player. Not as good as Bergeron, but he's good with the puck. And as you can see, even in that Tampa game, coming up with a goal late when it didn't matter, he plays with heart. I want him in Boston. Milan Lucic, gone. I said it to you before. I said I would wait the entire season to see what happens. I want Lucic out of here. He makes $6 million a year. His contract's up in 2016. He underperformed. It's not even his goals. I don't care about all that. He just didn't hit people. And that annoys me because he's huge. He needs to be hitting people. Check the guys on the boards. If you're going to play dump and run, which is what they did on offense at the end of the season for whatever reason, then you better hit some people into the glass when you get over there. I saw Brett Conley doing it, and he's like half your size. That, to me, is unacceptable. Season's over. Lucic should be gone. And then as for the guys that are free agents, you got Gregory Campbell. I'd keep him.
Well,
I'd bring him back.
Chiarelli already said he's gone.
Well,
I'm not Chiarelli. Neely, whoever. Neely and the regime said we're not bringing back Campbell. We're not bringing back Paille.
Well, Paille, I could see them getting rid of. Whatever.
Both those guys should have been gone last year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Campbell's good in the face-off circle. I have no problem. He plays on the fourth line.
I don't care. They made way too much money. Goodbye.
What you get him for a cheaper price? Whatever. He's a free agent. See what you can do at least. Dougie Hamilton, stay. Adam McQuaid, I know you hate him. I like him. I think he hits hard. I want McQuaid to stay. Soderberg, gone. I do not want Soderberg back. Bartkowski, gone. Conley, keep. Because Conley, to me, plays aggressive. I know he got in the box way too many times, put the Bruins on the penalty kill, some stupid penalties.
When did I say I hate McQuaid?
McQuaid, I've heard you say that you don't like McQuaid. I think we go back on tape and saying you don't like McQuaid. McQuaid doesn't do anything. He's nothing or whatnot. I don't know. We'll look back. If you don't hate McQuaid, you don't hate McQuaid. Point is, I don't, and I think he should stay. He's 28. I think he's worth keeping. And he looked like a beast. He was at least standing up to people at the end of the season. He looked good. I thought he looked good, and he's definitely a physical defenseman. I like that, and they don't have too many of them right now. Brett Conley, like I said, keep him because he's aggressive. I liked seeing that. And Svedberg, goodbye, because obviously they don't trust him enough because Tuukka Rask has to make the most starts in Bruins history or tie for the most starts in Bruins history this season with 70. And part of that's because they're playing for the playoffs every day or getting knocked out or making the playoffs. So I understand needing to put Tuukka in, but you need to have a good enough backup that you can at least on a back-to-back sit Tuukka for a while. They didn't even pull Tuukka in that game against Washington when they were definitely going to lose in the third period. Everybody's like, all right, keep pull him with, give him at least a period off because he's going to have to play in Florida now, and they didn't do that. Svedberg has to go just because I don't think they trust him enough, and that just, to me, doesn't work. So that's everybody. That's my feeling on the team. Get rid of Lucic. Get rid of Soderberg. Get rid of Svedberg. Find someone else. You need a backup goalie. And Chara, maybe get rid of him. I don't know. It's tough to do with Chara, but now with Chiarelli out, it's probably easier to get rid of Chara. So fine. Yeah, go get rid of Chara.
It's just tough. A lot of the guys that you mentioned, though, Droz, they do have those no trade or no movement clauses. All right. So for the most part, they're going to have to say that they agree to the trade. So I think that's going to be tough. I did hear that Dennis Seidenberg came out yesterday or today saying that if you don't want me, you don't want me. I'll waive it for the most part. So I didn't know if you mentioned that guy's name, but he makes $4 million, and he really took a step back this year. I do think that he is or was, I don't know if is the right word anymore, a top four defenseman, but that's a chunk of change that you could get rid of. I personally agree with a lot of the decisions that you made, and I'll go through it really quick. Bergeron is the heart and soul. He's the next captain of this team. Lucic, goodbye. Okay, you made great points on him, and I totally agree 100% with what you said on Lucic. I mean, his expectations are way too high. Everyone thought he was going to be the next Neely. He's not the next Neely, but he stopped hitting, and that pisses me off. Okay, he's not playing the type of player that he should. Maybe it's because he wants to be in the NHL longer. I don't know what it is, okay? But he's making way too much money for a first-line player. He's not a sniper. He's not a goal scorer. You're making that money surrounded by Bergeron and Krejci, who are more playmakers than goal scorers. You can't have three guys making that much money and one of them's not a sniper, okay? Go on. Marchand, I couldn't care either way. I know you call him the heart and soul. I feel like he's a streaky player within himself, and he's never going to be a first-rounder, so All right. So you look at guys like him, Erickson, and Smith. All those guys are making like $3 to $4 million, and they're second or third tier guys. They're getting. I feel like Erickson and now Chiarelli. He actually signed Riley Smith to an extension before at the end of the season here. And I am not a Riley Smith fan. All right. I think he's making way too much money. I'm not a Chris Kelly fan.
I like Kelly. I think he's great.
I like the one-eyed Swede Soderberg.
I don't.
I don't know why you don't, but
I think he's kamikaze.
Well, he is kamikaze, but I feel like you need that every now and then on this team.
He can't take faceoffs very well either. I don't like him at center. Maybe he's better as a wing. I don't know.
Agree. Valid point. I mean, Pasternak is the future. Conley, I wouldn't mind having the team bring them back. And I mean, Spooner had a good stretch there at the end. So forward wise, yeah, they got a lot of cap space surrounded by guys that just aren't playmakers. And they said it on the news conference today. We had a hard time bringing the puck out of the zone, and we're built on a team that we're built to stop the puck and defend well. And you look at the team, and you get rid of Iginla and you get rid of Boychuk. Those are, like I said at the beginning, those are two big guys. Iginla was one of the I'm not going to say one. He was the best goal scorer on the team last year. All right, so you get rid of him, that hurts. They somehow can trade Lucic and get a goal scorer. I'm not saying Milan Lucic is not a bad player. He's not a fit in this team anymore. The defense, there's no way they're getting rid of Chara. I wouldn't care if they got rid of him, to be honest. He is on the decline. He's, like you said, all valid points. I'm not going to repeat that. McQuaid, who the heck knows what I said when I didn't like McQuaid. I like McQuaid. I just don't think he is a top four defenseman. I don't think Krug is a top four defenseman. Barkowski, goodbye. Hamilton makes stupid decisions. He makes stupid plays, but he's got way too much potential. He's still young. I feel like people forget that. He is a top four defenseman. You don't get rid of him. Trotman, I actually don't mind. Svedberg, totally agree with what you said. I mean, Rask got to play way too many games this year. Huboden was great last year as a backup. One of the main reasons why I felt like the Bruins had a good year is because they could actually rest Rask. And I mean, you're not going to get rid of Tuukka Rask. He's signed. He's here. It is what it is. So whoever comes in here now, the only thing I can say about that is Chiarelli gets fired, and this team is really built around the Claude Julien philosophy, though. That's the only thing, Droz, the only thing that I can think of in my head that might keep Julien around this. There's a lot of Julien-esque players, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of like defensive mind defensemen besides Hamilton. There's a lot of forwards that can play both offense and defense, and I feel like Claude still might be a coach that fits with this team. I mean, he did everything possible, mixing and matching his lines, trying everything towards the end of the year, and just nothing worked. And he can't pick and choose his groceries. He's not like Bill Belichick, GMs and head coach. So he gets what he gets, and I feel like is a possibility that he could come back just because there's a lot of players here. He's familiar with a lot of players here that fit the Claude Julien type. And the only way that I could see that changing is if they do get rid of some of these guys. And if they do get rid of some of these guys, then okay, that would make sense. Get rid of Claude. So I still think I'm up in the air, and I don't know if Claude's going to be back or not, depending on the moves they make.
The thing with Claude for me is I think when a new general manager comes in, no matter who the coach is, no matter what the system, even if and those are valid points, these players, especially the forwards that can play two ways, all over the team. When you Krejci and you got Bergeron and you got Chris Kelly, all these guys, they can play both ways. I do agree with you there, but I just think that general managers, when they come in, they want their guy, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
that's just the way it is. I know you can make a point towards it, but I just can't see any new GM. It doesn't even matter to me. Like, what good points or not, they're going to want their own guys. That always starts with the head coach.
Yeah, I agree. For the most part, I agree. I'd probably go 75-25%. So 75% gone, 25 somehow stays. Somehow a GM comes in here that values Claude Julien, agrees in his philosophy, has trust in this guy, and wants to go that route. But yeah, for the most part, I do think if I had to say 75 out, 25 in.
Well, some team that is in the playoffs, that's the Boston Celtics, and they, continue to just blow my mind. Really, I even though last week when we talked to you all, we tried to predict the final 5 games of the season. I believe it was 5, starting with the Pistons. So we picked they beat the Pistons, they beat the Bucks, and lose the middle 3 games. This being the Celtics. Instead, they go out, and I understand when they played Cleveland, LeBron and company didn't play in the second game, and in the first game, LeBron played, but Kyrie didn't play, Kyrie Irving. But they go out, and they win all their games, all four games, and DeRozan didn't play in the 4th game. I don't even care, because this team shouldn't be beating these teams. They won 4 straight now, 5 straight overall, 4 since we've talked to you last, and they have sewed up the 7th seed. They did it. They're in the playoffs. Not even the 8th seed. They're in the 7th. They leapfrog Brooklyn, and they're in. Brooklyn might not even make it now. And the Celtics every night. Who does it the other night? Jay Crowder hitting a shot with 0.8 seconds to go in the game to give them the win. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And now they're going to get the Cleveland Cavaliers. I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers, when they played the Celtics in those 2 games, Friday and Sunday, what they were trying to do with all sitting everybody, sitting LeBron and Shumpert on Friday, and then sitting basically everybody on Friday, and then sitting basically everybody on Sunday. I think they're like, all right, yeah, we want to play the Celtics in the first round. And you know what? You careful what you wish for, because maybe the Celtics will just go in there and say, eat it. Because they got a little man named Isaiah Thomas who's really, really mad, or he plays mad. And I don't think if they said anything on the floor or anything like that, they get any sense of that, I could just see them come out firing. That being said, I think they win 1 game and they get taken out.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, like we've been saying all along, Droz, and I want to go back to your first point, though. It's very hard to make predictions, and like I said last week, it's going to be hard to make the Celtics predictions towards the end because we didn't know who was going to play. So I don't want to sound like Monday morning quarterback here, but for the most part, if I knew that Cleveland was going to sew that seed up, I probably would have said, yeah, the Celtics are going to get in, all right? Because I felt like they would have definitely split one of those games against the Cavaliers, and I just feel like they would have got in. So, but whatever, they're in. I laughed at it earlier in the season, way back in time now, like in October, and when the Celtics won their first game on opening night and the Bruins lost, and I was like, that'd be funny if the Celtics actually get in the playoffs and the Bruins don't. And now we sit here months later, and it is a fact. And it's an unbelievable fact. It's an unbelievable fact because this team got transpired throughout the year, trading Green, trading Rondo, and Brad Stevens had to go through like 40-something players on the year, and it's a small miracle that this team actually made the playoffs. And I will be watching. There's no way I won't be watching. We're going against LeBron James and and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, who doesn't fit in on that team, but
could be a new Celtic next year.
Hey, you never know. I think he's going to go West Coast. I think he'll end up in L.A. He's an L.A. guy. Went to UCLA. It seems like that's where he'll end up if he doesn't stay with the Cavs. But looking at the games that they faced against the Cavs this year, and I tried to decipher them, and it's kind of pointless because I'll tell you first off, they faced them early in the year, and we still had Rajon Rondo. We actually lost to them 122-121 at home. A lot of players that went on the roster then they're on now, so it's tough to look at that, okay? And then you look at the last 2 games, like you just mentioned, Droz, so many players not playing, so it's hard to judge those 2 games too. So the only game that stood out was the game played in Cleveland on early March or so, when the Celtics lost 110-79. And the entire roster on both teams is the exact same that it is now. And I think that's pretty much going to sum up this series. I hate this sounds. I don't think it's sounding negative either, Droz. I think it's just realistic. This is Cleveland Cavaliers, and if I had to make a prediction of the team that's going to go to the finals from the East, I'm picking the Cavs. All right. So with that being said, I'm not going to be this Boston homer picking the Celtics. If I did, I feel like people would be saying I'm on like PCP or something. Who the heck knows what I'd be on, or like shrooms. But no, if you're picking the Celtics, you are on those substances, and there's just no way a person in their right mind would be picking the Celtics. But I just want this team to go out there, gain some experience, fight in the playoffs. I would be surprised if they actually even win 1 game. The playoffs, it's just different, man. You know how the playoffs are. LeBron James is an absolute beast. We don't have anybody who's going to stop that guy on our team. So it's going to be interesting. I'm glad they made it. Brad Stevens, like I've been saying, I'll keep saying it, one of the best in-game coaches. Those plays down the stretch going back and forth with Toronto, with Cleveland, it's just great to see this guy can make a play from the baseline. He can make a play from the sideline. He's got such a creative mind. I'm glad that this team's in the playoffs, but Cleveland is just another beast. I personally wanted Jay Crowder to miss that shot so they would have a chance to face the Hawks, because I just don't like teams that don't have superstars. It's like, who's going to take the last shot in the Hawks, you know? So I wanted them to match up with the Hawks. I feel like they would possibly have a better chance to make a series out of that. But, hey, they're there. They made it. Good for them, and they deserve it, and let's see what they got.
Yeah, I think they will definitely win one game. I do. I don't think they're going to win the series at all. I do think you'd have to be crazy to pick them. And Isaiah Thomas even came out saying we don't have the best talent on this team at all, but we outwork everybody.
Yeah, I'm picking them to get swept.
You think they get swept? I don't think they get swept because I think that Cleveland will get cocky one game. Boston will either win game 1 in Cleveland or game 3 in Boston, because one way or another, either game 1, Cleveland's just going to come out and just think, whatever, the Celtics, they're nothing. We played nobody the last 2 times, and the Celtics just, outwork them and get a win, and then Cleveland just goes and just bum rushes them for the rest of the series. Or we get to game 3, and the Celtics have probably been beaten pretty badly in the first 2 games, and the Celtics just play their little butts off, and the Cavs are, don't take them too serious for that game. I just think there's going to be one game where the Cavs don't take them too serious, or just don't play with the energy the Celtics play with, and the Celtics will sneak by them in that game. But besides that, I don't see that. I don't see them winning, because I think Cleveland is that much better of a team. Kyrie Irving scored 50 this year. LeBron is LeBron. J.R. Smith has been awesome since he's been there. Shumpert has been good. They got what's his face there. Kevin Love, I know he's been down this season, but still he can still make those outlet passes that are amazing, and he can still rebound and he can still score. I mean, they're unbelievable. Shumpert's a good defender. That team's too good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I don't think they're going to win any games, but that's why we play the games, Droz, because last time on our show we made all these predictions and we were completely wrong on every single one of them. So matchup wise, I feel like Marcus Smart could give Kyrie Irving fits, because Marcus Smart is just a crazy defender, especially as a rookie. I mean, anybody on this roster is tradable. There's not one guy on the team that you could say 100% you got to keep this guy. But, I mean, if there's any guy that you want to keep, it would be Marcus Smart, because his defense is ahead of his offense, and he's just phenomenal out there, and he gives 110% every single night. He might have a couple loose screws here and there, punching guys where he shouldn't be punching, but, I mean, we all make mistakes. I compare him maybe to a little Vince Wilfork back in the day, when Vince Wilfork used to do some dirty stuff here and there. And I love Vinny. I'll miss you, but it could be something like that. So hopefully he grows out of that and just turns into a great Celtics player. But there's not one guy in this team that you could say he's definitively staying.
No, definitely not. I love Evan Turner. He makes me laugh. He's like the Matrix of our team. He's like Sean Marion of without the scoring of the Celtics, because when you look at his line in all these games, it's ridiculous. Against Toronto, 14 points, 7 boards, 9 assists. Against Cleveland in the game where they had nobody, he has 15 points, 7 boards, 5 assists, 4 steals. Then the other game against Cleveland, 4 points only, but 6 rebounds, 13 assists. One bad game against Detroit, 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists. And then at Toronto, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals. I mean, he lights up the score sheet. He can't shoot for a great percentage. He did hit a nice shot against the Raptors on Tuesday, but at the end of the game when they needed it. But he doesn't, he's not consistent on offense. But I just look at those numbers and I think it's hilarious. He stuffs the stat sheet. He's good at doing it, and he makes plays. It's this whole team. You could go with everybody, though. I mean, Avery Bradley coming up with 30-point games. I didn't think he could score. I thought he was a defensive player, and last time I remember him being a real big scorer was down at Texas when he in college.
Even in college, I mean, he was one of the number 1 or 2 recruit going to Texas, but he was known as with his defense, and he has worked his butt off in the NBA, shooting hundreds and thousands of jump shots in the summer. I mean, even during the season per day, he has worked his butt off in order for him to actually become a decent option in the NBA. And you know what? I look back, and maybe I was wrong about Avery Bradley and the salary that he has. Maybe it is deserving. I mean, I watched more Celtics basketball, I'd say, in the last 4 months than I've watched in the last couple seasons, just because I actually liked watching this team. They were an enjoyable team to watch. So who knows? Maybe I was wrong with Avery Bradley. Maybe he deserves the exact amount that he's getting, but I don't know, Droz. He's another guy that even after this season, if they got rid of him, I wouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't see me crying or anything like.
I'm not going to cry if any of them go. It really isn't a big deal if any of the players get traded. Besides Marcus Smart, I'd keep Smart, like you said.
Yeah, and
Smart's one guy I would keep.
Yeah, and like after watching the NCAA championship, it was unfortunate that Okafor was in foul trouble. But you look at the top guys coming out from the draft, and you got the guy Towns from Kentucky, who was pretty much unstoppable in most games. Great footwork as a freshman. And then you got Okafor, who is a complete beast. I mean, he can already use the glass in the offensive end. So you got a couple guys up there, but your chances of hitting those guys in the lottery are like slim to none. So I'm like, don't choke. Just go for it. This team went for it. They fought. They deserved it. See what happens now. I mean, you got Brad Stevens already saying that Bradley's not playing on Wednesday night, and Isaiah Thomas is going to rest a little bit.
They get to rest players. That just cracks me up.
It's unbelievable. We got the Celtics are resting.
Bruins are out, and the Celtics are sitting there resting players.
The Celtics are resting players for the playoffs, while the Bruins players are resting or going golfing.
Yes.
It's just amazing, man. It truly is amazing.
It's heartbreaking for me. Like I said, I thought the Bruins. I really, really, really thought the Bruins were going to get in, and I really believe they could have won the Stanley Cup. I just do. I
don't understand that, Droz. How did you not see the writing on the wall? This team was a roller coaster throughout the entire year.
Because they have Tuukka Rask in goal, and to me, he's one of the best goaltenders. He is one of the best goaltenders in hockey.
He is, but
they're playoff proven. They've done well in the playoffs. They got a bunch of guys that know what to do in the postseason. Once they get there, I mean, everybody says it. If you just go around, you watch any of the shows, NHL Network, Barry Melrose when he pops up on ESPN, NBC Sports, whatever you watch, everyone sits there, because I don't get the local side of it, but everyone says the Bruins, watch out. If they make the playoffs, every team's not going to want to face them because they have experience in the playoffs. They've done well in the postseason. And I just thought, if they get in, or I thought they would get in, and then they'd get in, and then they'd turn it on. They turn it on, just like the Kings. The Kings won it as an 8 seed a couple years back. I mean, if the Kings would have got in, they probably would have been dangerous for everybody too, but they missed it.
I don't know. There was just way too much crap going up and down for the season, and not only that, you got way too many guys in the defensive end got beat up throughout this year. I mean, you had injury galore going with, Hamilton. You got Kelly Olynyk coming out and saying that the guy broke his ribs. A Celtics player broke the news on what happened to Dougie Hamilton, which I found to be actually comical. Miller, another tough-nosed defenseman who got hurt. So they just struggled throughout the year. That's the one thing with like the Celtics. If you look at the Celtics team, there was a lot of guys coming in and out, but for the most part, a lot of these guys are comparable. They're like, there's not like a superstar in this team. So Isaiah Thomas goes down for an X amount of time. This team has like a good 9 guys rotation-wise, where any given night, anyone could step up. Whether it's Dredko, whether it's Crowder, Olynyk coming off the bench, Avery Bradley could have a good game. Like you were saying before, Evan Turner, his stat lines are up and down. It's because Stevens goes with the guys that are performing well as a unit that night. All right, and
he flips it around all the time.
He flips it around all the time, exactly. So it's kind of hard. It might be more difficult as a coach because you don't know what to expect. But I mean, it's crazy to see how one night Evan Turner could be awesome stat line, and then the next night, I mean, nothing's there. So it's not a formula that is going to go anywhere far. But it's not. I do not see them. I don't see them being remotely close in any of these games.
I honestly, like I said, I think Cleveland's just one game's just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, and the Celtics are gonna play their butts off. Like I said, I think the Celtics will try every game as hard as they can.
Of course they'll try. This team tries the hardest out of maybe any team in the NBA. It's absolutely ridiculous how much this team. That's why I love this team. They all go out there on a nightly basis and try, whether it's not they actually love the game, or whether it could be because a lot of them are trying to get contracts.
Contracts?
Yeah, exactly. You said it at the same time. Contracts are trying to stay on the team, so that's always a reason why to try harder. But they're there, and we're gonna see what this team is made out of.
I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised. I think it's going to be pretty clear. I think we already have the image of what's going to happen. But like I said, I think one game, I don't think that's saying too much different than what you're saying. It's just saying, I just think that they will outwork. I think Cleveland will play down one game.
Maybe it'll be all right. Maybe I'll give them one game where it'll be close, but I still think they got swept.
Okay. Well, one team that is definitely playing exactly the way that I think at least we predicted is the Boston Red Sox, hitting the ball like crazy and having to make up for this pitching that is just, besides maybe opening day and maybe Rick Porcello, has been horrendous. And
shocking.
Yeah, exactly. Shocking, no. But the hitting has been great. Even in Tuesday's game, they've won every series now. So they've lost one game in each series, one against Washington, against the Yankees, and then in the opening series against Philly. They've lost one game, but they've won every series. They're 6-3. They're doing pretty much everything you'd expect. They're winning games. When they're losing games, the games they've lost, they've given up 14 runs to the Yankees in a loss. They only give up 4 runs to the Phillies in a loss. See, and that's the thing. If the offense doesn't hit, they're not going to win. And then they gave up what was it, today or Wednesday, 10 runs to the Nationals in a loss. So 2 double-digit scores in losses. So the Red Sox offense couldn't come up with that many runs. But you just can't do that. If the pitching can have for gosh sakes, a 5 ERA, let up 5 runs a game, if this offense is healthy, it can carry. It's proven it right now. Bogarts is hitting the ball great. He's over 400 for the season. Hanley's got 4 home runs. Betts he hasn't been great with his average, but he's had good at bats and he's had timely plays. Plus, he made, defensively, he's been good actually in the outfield, which is pretty good for him considering he's not a natural outfielder.
He's only been playing there for 1 year.
Yeah, so I give him a lot of credit for that. Sandoval hasn't done much yet. He got hit in the foot and didn't play during Wednesday, but Brock Holt comes in and Brock Holt's been great. So just like he was last year, he makes hits when he has to. He's a little dirt dog. Dustin Pedroia, looking better, already 3 home runs this season. They're hitting the ball right now. But once again, those bats better stay healthy, because if those bats don't stay healthy, these Red Sox are toast.
It's possible, Droz. I mean, I'll keep saying it. Health and starting pitching are going to be the 2 most important things that happen to this team this year. They're going to need guys to stay healthy, and they're going to need starting pitching to come through. And so far, their bats are doing what I expected them to do. This team is built to get a lot of runs, and that's why I picked them to get one of those wild cards. Probably the last one is because I think their offense can carry them to a playoff spot. And I think along the way, with that happening, they're going to make a trade and they're going to get a guy that's near the front line of the rotation. But valid points that you made all the way around. I mean, you got Hanley Ramirez, power showing already. You got Mookie Betts, made some great timely plays here and there. This week, stolen bases, that leap and catch in center field, where I feel like if he played the outfield position for another year, he probably wouldn't have to leap to make that catch because he already had like a jump on that fly ball. He's still learning.
Sure.
He's still learning the outfield position. And then you got Victorino and Wright. He's been up and down. and you got a $70 million guy, Rusney Castillo, still down in Pawtucket. So
he's actually hitting pretty well down there too.
Alan Craig comes in. You got Holt filling in. That's why I feel like health is important. But even the guys that are behind these guys are just they're guys that should be started for the most part. I mean, Alan Craig should be starting somewhere. Castillo, line wise and what he can bring to the table should be starting somewhere. So they do have good, solid backups behind these players, and it's just this pitching, man. And I'm glad I said what I said last year because I'm last show because Buck Holtz, man, I'm telling you that his first start of the year could have been his best start. This guy is just up and down, and you never know what you're going to get from this guy, and that's what you don't want out of an ace. I like Porcello. I like what I've seen out of him so far. Wade Miley is what I expected. Masterson's been a train wreck. Cy Young Joe was actually okay.
He actually was like a Cy Young pitcher.
Cy Young Joe. He could be the wild card. You never know.
But I can't predict that. I will not predict that. Not even coming close.
No, you can't predict that. Like we said to start the year, these guys are all 3 and 4s. They are what they are. So sooner or later, I feel like as the season goes on, the Red Sox will be in it. Their bats will carry them, and it's either going to be okay. Do we have an arm in the minor league a la Henry Owens that's ready to come up?
I do like him.
Or are we going to be crazy and trade away our prospects, which I never have an issue with because they're prospects, and not every prospect spans out. If you can go out there and get a guy who is a proven major league player, I'm always in agreement with that. I mean, even when we traded Hanley Ramirez back in the day, we ended up winning World Series because we got a bona fide stud in Josh Beckett.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't work out the best towards the end, but we won a World Series because of that trade. You could definitely
Josh Beckett,
argue that.
Because Josh Beckett in the postseason, that postseason was unbelievable. He probably one of the better performances of all, at least since I've been alive in the postseason.
So there's so many people out there now saying, "Oh, this guy's untouchable. Ooh, that guy's untouchable. He's untouchable." And who knows, Droz? You know, there's so many scouts out there. Some scouts could see it. I hear some scouts see Owens as a top-notch ace. Then you hear some scouts saying that he could top out as like maybe a 2, probably a 3. That's why they're prospects, man. You don't know what's going to happen, and you look at it. No matter what position you play, if a prospect is a prospect, you're never going to know what you get until that guy actually gets there and performs in the big league. So I feel like as the season goes on, that's the direction that these Sox are going to have to take because my expectations for Miley and Masterson are just they're not there. They are. Well, if they can eat innings, that's the only thing that I would expect from them. And I have more confidence that Masterson could do something than Miley. I don't understand that Wade Miley trade. I really don't.
No, and he pitched in Arizona before, and that was a lot easier than pitching at Fenway.
Valid point. Okay, but the lineups that he's facing in the AL East aren't the same. It's not Murderous Row anymore. So no. I will give the Red Sox in that retrospect. Okay, he's coming in here and he's not going to be facing the typical crazy lineups that you get in the AL East. They're just not as good. I mean, the Red Sox have the best lineup, and he doesn't have to face the Red Sox because he's on the Red Sox. But I still don't even like. I've never liked his stats. I've never even liked them out in Arizona. So prove me wrong, Wade. Prove me wrong.
Well, you can go back and see this. The trade thing, I'll agree with that if they're in the race come All-Star break, come trade deadline, in late July, or early August, whenever that is. But until then, like I said, I do think injuries will matter because if Hanley goes down, which I think he will at some point, Pablo already getting hit in the foot, he misses a game, it's not going to be a big deal, but at just some point, I think he goes down too. You got Alan Craig. You say that's the backup, but yet he's had knee problems for the past couple seasons. I'm worried about him. So, okay, yeah, and then you got Mookie and Rusney Castillo coming up maybe. And then, Brock Holt? Brock Holt is very underrated, so fair enough. Maybe they can keep it going. I do think Hanley, though, and even Pablo are going to be a big reason why this offense is so good. In these first 9 games this season, they have hammered Steven Strasburg, Jordan Zimmerman, and
kind of hit around Cole Hamels.
Yeah,
those are 3 top-notch starting pitchers.
Yeah, and
right there.
Two top-notch in Zimmerman and Strasburg on a team that a lot of people are predicting to do great this year and actually
win the World
Series. Yeah, so it's not going to be the bats, Droz. It really isn't. You're right. I mean, we can go around. We can say this almost every single week with this team. It's going to be what happens, and I just get a little nervous. You got Sandoval getting hurt. You got Xander Bogaerts getting an MRI. It's like, and Uehara finally coming back. The injury bug with this team.
Looked good.
He did look good, but the injuries, injuries already in April. Just stay.
That's alarming with Bogaerts to me. I know they said no structural damage with the MRI, but right knee soreness. I hate knees. I hate when knees have problems. Knees with anybody. I don't care who the hell it is. Yeah. I mean, knee is bad.
You need legs. You need legs in any sport.
Yeah, you do. I mean, there's nothing that I can think of where maybe water polo, because you're kind of you maybe get away with it.
The 4 major sports we talk about here in the Boston Sports Brew, you need the legs. You could put an argument. And you can't even argue this point. There's plenty of players in the NFL that will go out there and play with like a broken finger, or even a broken arm. They just put that huge thing that looks like a sledgehammer on their arm, and they go out there and play. So there's some sports that I feel like, you don't need your arms for. Technically, yes, you do, but you know what I'm trying to say. So baseball-wise, though, no. You hear that, you get worried. ACL. And now those things could be like anywhere from 6 to 9 to 10 months out. So that's the last guy, because I think Bogaerts he's raking out there, and I'll keep saying throughout the year, I think this guy he's gonna have a massive year, and I'm glad he's off to a great start, because he struggled a little bit last year, and the last thing we need now is for him to get off to a great start, and now we get a knee injury.
Exactly. I mean, now once again, the positive thing there is the fact that Hanley Ramirez can play the infield, so he came in and played at third base. Well, that was for Pablo. But Hanley can play pretty much anywhere now. He's become like this utility man defensively. So if he's healthy, then it's actually okay, because not that Hanley Ramirez is any kind of Gold Glove winning anything.
No, because he is an adventurer out in left field. There was a play he made last night that I was like, oh boy.
Well, then a couple nights ago too. Yeah. I mean, he's made a couple plays already this season, or did not make a couple plays this season that he should have made.
Everyone just thinks, there's a wall there. The wall's going to stop the ball. No, that's not the case. The wall's there, and depending on the way the ball's hit and traveling in the air, you don't know where the ball's going to go. You don't know where the ball's going to go until you have practice out there, and it's going to take a little while for him to get that wall mastered down. All right, so it's not as easy as people think to play the outfield at Fenway Park.
No, and there's no reason to get on Hanley Ramirez about that, because that's just hard. And Manny Ramirez, for gosh sakes, he did get it at one point, and he was pretty good at playing it off the wall. I mean, he's not fast, he can't cover much ground, but Manny at one point, by the end of his time in Boston, he knew how to play the ball off the wall.
Yeah, he was a sneaky smart player when it came to the defense.
Yeah, he definitely can make plays. So I think Hanley can learn how to handle the outfield. He's not the first infielder to turn outfielder. That's fine, but it is nice that Hanley can come in and play. He could play shortstop, for Bogaerts if he had to. And once again, Brock Holt, he's a utility man. He can play all over the field. So you got guys like that, and that's good for the Sox. They do so defensively, offensively, they're good. Pitching wise, it's up in the air. Porcello's the only guy who's had 2 starts that have at least been solid. Otherwise, yes, Buchholz, like you said, Mattious, first game of the year you may be right. It may be the best performance he has all season long.
Sure hope not.
And we better hope not, because his performance against the Yankees, and we got to remember, this is not, yesterday's Yankees. This is the Yankees where Alex Rodriguez is their best hitter at this point. And if you think of it that way, a guy who didn't play all of last season and has had hip surgery on both hips, I don't know how he's, I'm glad for him. I'm going to say this right now. I'm happy he's hitting the ball, just because my whole stance on the steroids and all that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, when he's your best player on offense and you let up 14 runs to that team, something's wrong. And Clay Buchholz, he was the leading candidate right there in that game to let up those runs. He started that game where the Red Sox lost 14-4. That's bad. He's your ace. You cannot have that happen. I don't care if they were going for the sweep. I don't care whatever excuse you want to make.
Porcello's been solid. Miley, no. Joe Kelly's had one start. I'm not going off that. His stats say he walks way too many players, and I just don't think he's coming. I don't think he's that good. And Miley, he's just up and down. I don't like him being in the AL East. I don't like him pitching at Fenway. I just don't like him.
I think you like him.
No, I don't like him. I don't. This pitching staff is just horrendous. Henry Owens, I like Henry Owens. I do. I wouldn't trade Henry Owens. You said you'd trade all prospects. I'd trade most prospects, but I'm not trading Henry Owens because I want to see him get a chance up here. I just think I look at the stats. I have a way that I break down all my baseball players, and he translates to me into a perfect starting pitcher. I want Henry Owens up. I want him, and I want him around. Anybody else that I've seen, Garen Cecchini, he can go. What is it?
Cecchini.
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 Okay,
Don't make fun. Hey, you better not pronounce those Italian names right.
Okay, yes. We have a lot of Italians, especially in Rhode Island. But no,
I understand what you're saying, Droz, and you're right. When it comes to prospects, if I had to name anyone who's untouchable, it comes down to pitching and catcher. So I love Mookie Betts, but would I trade him if the deal was right? I would, because he's an outfielder. Outfielders are hard to replace. Blake Swihart is the future of the catcher position for this organization. Some people might argue that Vasquez's arm is great, but Swihart seems to be a guy that could do both things. And Owens, statistic-wise, you're right. His stats do match up. I would probably be really disappointed if they traded him, unless you get like some megastar back, but I doubt that happens, and I don't think they're going to trade either of those guys. But fact of the matter is, we're 9 games into the season. I'm not going to lose my head over anything that's gone on so far. I will say though that some positives that are out there are, Brock Holt's tearing the crap out of the ball again. Bogart's off to a good start. You got Sandoval off to a decent start. Ramirez as well as Pedroia. And Pedroia especially is showing some pop with 5 extra base hits out of his 12 so far. That is huge. Betts making plays here and there. Average-wise, he's not there. Ortiz, whatever. He's not in the groove yet, but we know how easily that can turn around. So there are some positives on that side of the on that side. I mean, when we're talking about batting compared to pitching, and pitching, there's just not a lot of positive. They've won a lot of games with the bats, and the bats are the positives so far. You can't lie with that being said, but fact of the matter is, once again, 9 games. So not going to lose any sleep of what happens here. Just stay healthy, and if health is the thing that's going to need to prevail. So week by week, as we talk about this team, I'm just going to be focusing on that, because it is what it is, man. With Ramirez and Victorino and Sandoval, guys that get hurt, we're gonna have to wait to see throughout the year if they can stay healthy or not. And there's some good guys, good performances so far. We'll wait and see though to see what actually happens, especially with the pitchers.
I just want to say one thing before we wrap this up. Blake Swihart, I would trade him. I never is a catcher. A catcher is always every catcher is tradable to me.
I totally disagree. We're not talking about fantasy baseball here, Droz. Yadier Molina is one of the best, not only catchers but players in Major League Baseball, and you're crazy if you're saying right now you wouldn't trade that guy.
I'm saying I would, because I think in any given moment the guy's career could be over with a knee injury, and he's going to have to go play first base.
Don't for a second think how important that Christian Vasquez injury could be to the staff. They were working with that guy, and Clay Buchholz said how comfortable he felt with him, and other pitchers said the same thing. And then Vasquez now gets Tommy John. You got to go out there and get that catcher Sandy Leon. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I know in America we like to make excuses, and I guarantee you sooner or later, if these pitchers struggle, they're going to come out there and say, or through like the grapevine, that Vasquez, that crazy defensive catcher who can throw out like anybody in the world, those guys just aren't as comfortable anymore. So I will disagree with you on that catching is a lot more important than you think.
Oh, it's not that I didn't say it's important. I just said it's tradable. It's definitely important. It's just the fact that you're
disagree,
going to go with a prospect catcher. A prospect catcher, you don't know how healthy they're going to be. Christian Vasquez, to me, is more valuable because at this point he's already proven he can handle the pitching staff. I don't care if a catcher can hit it at all. If a catcher can hit 200, I'm fine as long as he can handle the pitching staff. Just like Jason Varitek at the end of his career when he couldn't hit the ball for junk. He was still all the pitchers loved pitching to him. So that's why Varitek was so good. Brad Ausmus's of the world, people that the pitchers want to pitch to and call great games. They are very important. They're probably one of the most important players on the field, but that doesn't have anything to do with a prospect who has not pitched in the major leagues and is not proven to be every pitcher's favorite catcher yet. Swihart, I've watched it with all the Yankees catchers they've had in the past, the Jesus Montero or Jesus Montero, however it's pronounced, and Dioner Navarro. These guys were supposed to be 20 home run guys a year and hit like 300 and then be good behind the plate. And they're junk now. Where are they? So as far as I'm concerned, I've heard all about these catching prospects. Joe Mauer was the one guy that came through, and now he's hurt and playing first base. So I'm not going to sit here and not trade a catching prospect. I will trade Swihart in any deal. Owen stays, Swihart goodbye if it's worth it. I'm not saying Swihart might not be good, but at this point, if you're just asking me, will I trade prospects? He's one I would trade.
Fair enough.
And any catcher.
Any catcher.
Any prospect that's a catcher.
Okay, I'm glad you clarify that because I feel like it's a position that if you do have somebody that is as valuable as, say, like I mentioned before with Yadier Molina, and there's a couple other guys, but we're not going to go into a tangent with catchers here. But look, we're not going to go into a tangent here to end the show on the Boston Sports Brew catchers. But I mean, whatever. That's why sports is great. We can have our opinions. If point a gun to my head, it all depends on who would be part of the deal. I do like Vasquez defensively. I don't think that if you hit 200, you can stay. I think you're going a little too crazy with that line. Maybe if you say 230 or 240 draws, there's no catcher that if they hit 200, they're going to last in the major league. So I feel like I would need more time with Vasquez, but who knows if the catching position does struggle this year and Swihart is good in Pawtucket. You never know. You could see him up towards the later part of the year. We don't know that. I mean, he's performed pretty admirably in Salem and then in Portland last year, and then getting called up to Pawtucket and starting the year in Pawtucket this year. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing. It doesn't matter anyway because they've only played like 4 or 5 games. But it would have to be somebody where I'd be like, yep, okay, I'll do that. But point that gun to my head. The one guy I'm not trading is Owens.
Agreed, and that's a nice way to end the show, Mattious, on an agreement.
We can't agree on everything. I mean, one, that would be boring, but I mean, in sports, there's no way that two people talking about sports will agree on everything.
No, exactly. So hopefully you enjoyed this edition of the Boston Sports Brew, everybody. Once again, Facebook, thank you. Twitter, at BOS Sports Brew, at BOS Sports Brew. Everything, I'm trying to think what else we got going on. Nothing else yet. We're still working on the iTunes and all that kind of stuff, but hopefully the YouTube is working well for everybody. For Mattious, I'm Droz. Thank you again for listening to another edition of the Boston Sports Brew.
Go Celtics.